Today I have decided to do motivation, which is a very common topic. I know that you must have listened to several lectures on motivation under several courses, starting with the general course title management, general course on management or principles of management. Title may be different, but general course on management. So starting with, you must have listened to motivation, a lecture on motivation, maybe several lectures, and organizational behavior, maybe 2 lectures, at least 1 lecture, and then uh, organizational psychology and counseling. Yes, so therefore, by listening to several lectures on motivation, by this time you must have a good understanding about motivation. So, as far as today's session is concerned, so I want to expand that understanding further, by doing various activities. So I have planned to do several activities. So through activities, I expect to recall your understanding about motivation and then strengthen their understanding further. Motivation is indeed a very important topic. So in fact, what is motivation? By this time, you must have learned several definitions, but let me give according to my understanding. So I define motivation in two ways. In two ways. First way, the first way, an internal state. Second way, an external activity or an external state. An internal state and an external state. Can you understand, or can you, by using your previous understanding, try to understand? Motivation is an internal state. Internal state. What do you mean by that? You must be able to, give a reasonable answer for this by this time. Now you are in the final year. An internal state. So, motivation is an internal state of a person that leads to a higher degree of enthusiasm or willingness to exert the needed effort to perform the job successfully. Of course, there must be something, that may be a job, that may be a duty, that may be a certain task. So then in order to perform that task or the job or the activity successfully, the relevant person must have a high level of willingness to exert his or her effort. His or her effort. So therefore, as far as you are concerned, then you must have an internal state, leading to a higher degree of willingness to exert the needed effort to listen to this lecture successfully and then understand all the relevant activities that I have planned to do to understand successfully. That is an internal thing, motivation is an internal thing. The simple word for the first way of defining motivation is enthusiasm. So what is your motivation? It is your enthusiasm to do something serious because you like it, or you enjoy by doing it, or you think that it is very important. It is very important. So then assume now I decided to give marks for this lecture, for your attendance. And then that will increase your enthusiasm. That will make you serious to participate in this lecture. Listen to this lecture. Then if I tell you, at the end, I will give an examination question. That will increase your motivation. That will make you more serious to follow this lecture. That is your task. At this time, you have been given a task of listening to this lecture successfully and understand the content of the lecture. Right? To what extent do you have that enthusiasm? That is first way of defining motivation. Then what is second way of defining motivation? That is an activity performed by one person to stimulate another person. To stimulate another person to perform successfully a duty or duties of the job to accomplish relevant established objectives. Of course, in case of an employee, there are certain objectives to be achieved by that employee on performing his or her job. So therefore, there is a manager who is supervising that person. That manager does motivating the relevant employee to perform the duty or the job in general successfully. So therefore, the second way of defining motivation is that motivation is an activity. It is an external thing done by one person. So then, as far as you are concerned, right, your motivation is your enthusiasm, according to first way of defining. Your enthusiasm of learning, your enthusiasm of learning from this lecture. That is according to first way of defining. Then according to second way of defining, then I am doing, I stimulate. As the teacher, I stimulate you to perform that task or that learning successfully. You are supposed to perform that learning successfully. Then I, stimulate you, okay, by giving marks for your listening. Then by asking a question based on this lecture for the examination. Externally, I am going to stimulate you, or I do stimulate you. Okay, all right. So therefore, the motivation, the term motivation then can be defined in two ways: as an internal thing and also as an external thing. So therefore, motivation is the enthusiasm and also an activity done by a manager to stimulate another person. Okay, now let us first try to do this one. Activity 7. Activity 7. Skill building. Okay, try to read. The following is a list of statements, some of which are actions one can take to motivate people at work. Because this is a HRM course, management course. So primarily, you are supposed to learn how to do motivating people at work. How to do motivating people at work. So therefore, this activity is about how to do motivating people at work. So then here there are some opinions or beliefs one can have in respect of motivating people at work. Some are opinions, some are beliefs. They were adopted, in fact, from Professor Dubrin, Andrew, 1997. As far as you are concerned, do you follow them or not in motivating people at work, and why? So these are the, these are opinions or actions available or beliefs available for motivating people or demotivating people at work. So what you are supposed to do is try to understand. Try to understand this one and then decide whether you are going to do or you are going to follow this one or not. Even you can, respond. Always I am going to do this one. Or sometimes I will do. Or rarely I will do. Or never I will do. So your response, can be in that way also. Always, often, or often, sometimes, rarely, never. Or even, strongly agree, undecided, disagree, strongly disagree. So therefore, to develop, your answer, you have to use your understanding, previous understanding that you have acquired by following various courses, or you based on your understanding that you acquired from previous lectures about motivation. So in a way, this is a test of, this is a way of testing your previous knowledge about motivation. I asked the other person what he or she is hoping to achieve in the situation. Okay, the situation may be selling, or maybe manufacturing, or maybe documentary something, writing certain things, maybe doing a research, or maybe solving a problem with regard to an employee. So in the work situation, right? So I asked the other person, so here I mean you. So are you going to do, if you are supposed to motivate, the other person, are you going to do this one? Decide that. Yes. Can anyone respond? I asked the other person what he or she is hoping to achieve. Can you respond? Or individually you try to respond. Just think that, because our time is limited. Yes. So, okay, I will give you the ideal answer. You have to ask the other person what, he or she is hoping to achieve in the situation. There is something called role ambiguity. Have you heard about that? Role ambiguity. Role role ambiguity. To what extent, the relevant person knows what is supposed to be done. What is supposed to be done. If the relevant person doesn't know what is to be done and how it is to be done, then there's a big problem. There's a big problem. Then, then if the person doesn't know, if the person is not clear about what to do or what to achieve, then the motivation, will be a difficult thing. There will not be motivation that happens within this person. So therefore, you have to ask the other person. So therefore, you have to follow this one. The answer is yes. Yes, I do. I do believe this, or I have this opinion, and then I do that action. Okay, so I ask the person, then more, this is, you can consider this as a belief, not belief, as an opinion or as an action that you can do. So in that way, try to understand. Then the second one, go to second one. I attempt to figure out if the person has the ability to do what I need done. Try to understand what is this. I try to figure out if the person, this is the person that you are supposed to motivate. So then if the person has the ability to do what I need done, there is something that you want to do. That may be, okay, typing a letter or selling a certain amount of goods or producing a certain amount of production. It may be anything, it may be anything depending on the job. Or treating in a hospital, treating 10, nursing 10 patients. That may be the thing. Or there's a new patient now, came to the hospital. Then the relevant person, so I have one person, to use to serve that patient. Then, I'm going to figure out whether that person, that employee or that nurse has the ability to do that nursing for this special patient. I assume you are a research assistant. I am the research manager. So I want to get a certain survey done through you. Then, I am going to figure out, or I am going to know exactly whether you have that ability to do that work. Then my question is, are you going to do this one? Or are you not going to do this one? Definitely you have to, yes. Yes. Yes, I do. So you have to do that. So therefore, this is an action that you have to do if you are supposed to motivate a certain person, at work, in practice. So therefore, make sure whether the person has the ability to perform the job. Why? Let me ask this question, why? Why are you supposed to, figure out whether the person has the ability to do the work? Because ability is a major determinant of job performance. Ability, is a major determinant of job performance. I think several times you must have learned about that. Okay, so then what are the other things? Ability is one thing, right? Okay, then other thing is motivation, of course. Motivation. So therefore, motivation itself is not sufficient. The enthusiasm itself is not sufficient. The ability also essential to do a certain work. Right? Assume you have the enthusiasm to listen to me and learn from this lecture about how to motivate people at work. But if you don't have the ability, then you will not be able to successful. Right? Then third one, when another person is heel dragging, it usually means he or she is lazy. Think of that. Just try to understand. When another person is heel dragging, it usually means he or she is lazy. So what is heel dragging? Try to understand that word. Some people may not. Heel dragging That means doing something unwillingly and with deliberate slowness. Okay, so the doing something unwilling and with deliberate slowness. When another person is heel dragging there, it usually means he or she is lazy. Assume this is a belief. And do you believe in this? This is a belief, which is related to motivation. Do you believe in this? This is not an action. Okay, as far as this statement is concerned, this is not an action to be done. This is a belief. Or maybe we can say this is an opinion. Yes, do you have this opinion or do you have this belief? Yes, a heel dragging can occur owing to lack of ability, suffering from a personal problem, and intention of retaliating from the management. There may be several reasons like that. Because of lack of ability, a heel dragging may occur. Because of suffering, assume the relevant employee is suffering from a certain personal problem, then it is possible to experience heel dragging from that person. Or assume something has been done, something unfair has been done to the person by the manager. Then the relevant employee wants to retaliate from the manager. And then it is possible, the relevant person engages in heel dragging. So therefore, it usually means he or she is lazy. We can't believe. I do not believe. So I do not, if this is a belief, then I do not believe in this. I do not have this belief. It usually means he or she is lazy. No, maybe, might be. But there may be other reasons for heel dragging. Okay, right. Then go to this one. Now, fourth one. I explain exactly what I want to the person I am trying to motivate. Right. This has a relevance to this one, the first one. So first one and the fourth one are overlapping, similar. So therefore now the answer, yes, of course I do. I explain. So explains means why. So okay, now I am telling that you should be motivated to listen to me. You should be motivated to listen to me. And then I am explaining why. One reason, if you listen to me, this lecture, participate in this lecture, you will be given with 2 marks at least. You will be given with 2 marks. Okay, then another reason, I am going to ask a question, an examination question based on this. That is going to be compassion. Then I am trying to motivate you by explaining. Therefore, this is an action to be done if you want to motivate anyone to do anything successful. Why? So maybe why, maybe positively. or negatively, or in both ways. Have you heard about carrot approach to motivation and stick approach to motivation? Carrot approach to motivation means by giving rewards, we can motivate people. Stick approach means by giving punishments, threats, we can motivate people. Okay, assume now, if you don't participate in this lecture until the end, if you don't participate in this lecture until the end of the lecture, I am going to what? I am going to reduce your marks by 5. That's a kind of threat, kind of threat. So negatively, I am going to motivate you. Okay, negatively. Positively, as I am going to give you 2 marks or 3 marks. Positively. So likewise, we can give a promotion in order to motivate the person, or we can give a salary increment. Many things, I think you know that. Okay, then number 5, I like to give the other person a reward upfront, so he or she will be motivated. What are you going to do? Are you going to do this one, or are you not going to do? I like to give the other person. So remember, this other person is the person whom you want to motivate to do something. A reward upfront, so he or she will be motivated. That means before completing a certain task, I am going to give a reward. Are you going to do that? Is it a good strategy to motivate people at work? Use your previous knowledge, even your general understanding. Okay, simple example. Right. Let us take, let us take 2 people. One is a mother, the other one is a small child. Small child, as okay, mother wants to motivate the small child to have the dinner. To have the dinner. Dinner. This is about motivation. Stimulating. The mother does the motivation. So that means mother engages in an activity to stimulate her small child to eat the dinner or to have the dinner, to get the dinner. Right. So in order to do that, the mother decides to give a chocolate, or assume gives an ice cream before, before having the dinner. Is it going to be a useful one? More likely, it is not. The child will, have the ice cream, then maybe his or her hunger goes vanished, and then no longer the child is hungry. Then of course the child is not going to be motivated to have the dinner. Instead, the child will respond most likely, or more likely, I am full now. I am full. I can't eat now. I don't feel like eating or having the dinner. Okay, what was the task? What is the task that the mother wanted to get it? Having the dinner. This is a simple example, domestic example. So if you take a working example, assume you want the salesman to increase the number of units selling by 25%, or simply say by 10%. Now are you going to give a commission or pay increase before the person is going to achieve that? So it is not a good idea. So therefore the answer is, I do not I do not. So in fact, instead, what can you do? I will tell that there is a reward. There is a reward. There is a reward which is waiting for you. But giving the reward is dependent upon achievement of that goal or the task. Completing the task or achievement the goal will determine whether the relevant person gets the reward or not. That is the way that we have to motivate. So that is the way that we have to motivate. So we have to motivate in that way. So therefore, you should not give the other person a reward upfront. So he or she will be motivated. Okay, so if you don't understand, you can raise questions, no problem. Then go to number 6. Number 6. I give lots of feedback when another person is performing a task for me. I give lots of feedback when another person is performing a task for me. So what is feedback? So therefore, I think answer is clear. I hope you have that basic understanding to give this answer. I do. Yes, of course I do. At least a sufficient amount, if not last, a sufficient amount of feedback. Maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times during the relevant period. Okay, right. Then the number 7. I like to belittle another person enough so that he or she will be intimidated into doing what I need done. Intimidated. Again, be a gunner. Threaten. Belittle. So negatively motivating another person enough so that he or she will be intimidated into doing what I need done. By doing this, it is possible to motivate someone. No problem. If you are a very powerful person, you can do that. If you don't do this work within 2 days, then I am going to terminate you, or I am going to demote you. So in that way, the manager can do that. So it is possible to motivate, but this is not a good strategy, long-term wise. If you are interested in, if you are interested in, if you are interested in really, improving the job satisfaction of the employee, you should not do this one. Job satisfaction is one of the goals of HRM or objectives of HRM. The person might retaliate one day. So normally the feelings get hurt. But, so therefore I can't say, always, all ways I do not do. Okay, the ideal answer, always I do not do this one. Do not do. I don't agree with that. There might be a situation where you have to do this one. But very frequently or often I do not do. This seems to be the best answer. Often I do not do. Or, yes. Often, right. I do not do this one. Belittling, right. Then make sure that the next one, make sure that the other person feels treated fair. Of course, I think, yes, The answer is yes, of course. Yes, I do. So I do believing or I do doing this one, taking the action. Other feels treated fair. Okay, so then you must have learned about reward. What is this? Equity theory. So therefore, fair treatment is very important to motivate any person. So if the perception of the person about the interpersonal treatment, interpersonal interpersonal treatment, interpersonal treatment, is the interpersonal treatment. So that's a very important thing in the context of motivating employees. Okay, so then interpersonal treatment given by the relevant employee. Or here, okay, from my point of view, right? If the perception of the person about the interpersonal treatment given by me is not fair, then there is no interpersonal justice. Have you heard about this interpersonal justice? This is a concept, coming under justice theory, interpersonal justice. So this is about treating people, fairly. Assume I treat you in a certain way, I treat another person in a different way. Then there is no interpersonal, justice. Okay, for example, right, I allow you to leave the organization early, 1 hour early. Then I don't do that to another person. Then that person, I want that person to be maybe okay after the work for another 30 minutes. And then the second person definitely will think that he or she is not being treated by me fairly. Then that will reduce that person's motivation. Right. Then go to this one. I figure that if I smile nicely, I can get the other person to work as hard as I need. If I figure, okay, simply, by assume I am your boss, that you are the employee who is supposed to do a certain work successfully. And then I use my smile to you, hoping that you will work as hard as I need. Do you believe in this? Or do you do this one in motivating people? Smiling, Smiling is a nice thing. That's a pleasant thing. That may cause, to arouse a pleasant feeling within the other person whom we want to motivate. Therefore, we can think, yes, we can, if we smile, then we can get the hard working from that person whom we want to motivate. So what do you think? Do you believe in this or you don't? Smiling, okay, let me give my answer. Smiling may be a driver of motivating a person. Maybe. I can't say will be. Maybe even might be a driver of motivating a person. But if the person is badly needing a promotion or a salary increment, my smiling will not meet his or her need. And therefore, I will not be able to motivate the person. I will not be able to motivate the person. Okay, so Assume, you want to get a salary increment. That at the moment, that is your need, which gives you the motive, the aim of, working under me, because you want to get a salary increment, a big salary increment as well. But instead of giving a salary increment, I am going to use smile. So then my smiling is not going to be successful to get your hard working. So if I want to get your hard working, then I have to meet your need. That is salary increment. All right. So that's the answer. So then the ideal answer should be what? Smiling may be a drive of motivating a person. But if the person is badly needing a promotion or salary increment, that we have to give to motivate that person. Smiling doesn't work. Right. The next one, number 11. I attempt to get what I need done by instilling fear in the other person. For little by little, fear. Already I have discussed a similar thing. Of course, you should not do that. In a very rare case, very rarely you can do, depending on the situation. Right. So normally you should not do that. Use the positive approach to motivation. Right. Then number 11. I generously praise people who help me to get my work. Of course, yes, I do. Reasons, Now go to this one. A job well done is its own reward. I therefore keep praise to a minimum. What is your response? First, try to understand the sentence. There are two sentences, yes. A job well done is its own reward. I therefore keep praise to a minimum. Do you believe in this? This we can consider as a belief. Or an opinion, it's okay. Do you have this belief? Ideally, no, I do not have. Why? The answer is that you should not have this belief. Why? The job well done is its own reward. It is there. This is true. This is true, this is true. An intrinsic motivator. I think you must have heard about intrinsic motivators, extrinsic motivators. This is an intrinsic, internal thing relating to the job, within the job. I therefore keep praise to a minimum. This we can't agree with. Even though an employee has done the job well, if you are the manager of that employee, you should engage in praising. Okay, at a previous lecture, I have emphasized the importance of praise. It's not expensive. It's an easy to do. So therefore, we should not keep praise to a minimum. Though majority of Sri Lankan people do that, majority of Sri Lankan managers engage in this. And they have this belief, which we can't agree. Right. Then go to this one. I make sure to let employees know how well they have done in meeting my expectations on a task. This is about feedback. You have learned even under HRM, under job designing specifically, Feedback is a behavioral element that will lead to motivation of the employee. So therefore, yes, I do. Okay, now go to this one. Carefully examine the statement. To be fair, I attempt to reward. Similarly, no matter how well they have performed. So they means the employees, yes. To be fair. You want to be fair. Therefore, you try to reward employees in the same way without considering what? The different levels of productivity, the different levels of their achievements. Do you do this one? Do you do this in motivating others or people at work? Motivating people at work. Do you do this? Most of the Sri Lankan organizations do this. Most of the managers, especially government sector, especially in the government sector, the managers do this. They reward employees similarly. This is one of the reasons for our, reducing productivity. Reducing productivity. This is a serious barrier for increasing our productivity, our production. So rewarding all employees similarly does motivate what? Not really. In fact, doesn't demotivate. Does demotivate. Whom? Does demotivate whom? Or who is going to be demotivated? Or who are? High performers. Never forget that. High performers. So if you reward employees similarly, then it does demotivate high performers. High performers need to be retained within the organization, and non-high performers need to be encouraged to become high performers. Hence, you have to reward high performers in high amount and low performers in low amount. All the best companies, almost all the best companies in the world, fortune companies, they do this one. They never reward employees similarly. They discriminate employees in terms of performance. They identify high performers, then high performers are rewarded in high way. Average performers are rewarded in average way. Low performers are rewarded in low way. This is how they improve. This is the performance, enhance the performance. This is how they, retain high performance. Retaining high performers is a very serious thing, very important thing for the, I think you can understand. Okay, all right. And then number 50. When somebody doing work for me performs well, I recognize his or her accomplishments promptly. When somebody doing work for me perform well, I recognize his or her accomplishments promptly, without delay. Yes, I do. I think easy for you to understand this one. Then before giving somebody a reward, I attempt to find out what would appeal to that person. Yes. Even expectancy theory, can you remember? You must have learned about expectancy theory. Even Abraham Maslow's needs hierarchy. So you have to find out the needs of the relevant employees before motivating them. Right. Then what is this? Can you understand? I make it a policy not to thank somebody for doing a job he or she is paid to do. මේක තියෙනවා සමහර අයට තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ සේවකයාට පඩියක් ගෙවනවා. අපි හිතමු හොඳ පඩියක් දෙනවා. ඉතින් හොඳ පඩියක් සේවකයාට දෙනකොට අය අමුතුවෙන් thank you කියන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. එයාට ගෙවලා තියෙන්නේ හොඳ පඩියක්. ඒ වැඩේ. So then I make it a policy, not to thank somebody. As a principle, not to thank somebody for doing a job he or she is paid to do. Even he or she is well paid to do. Do you believe in this? Or are you going to do this in motivating people at work one day when you will be actually supposed to motivate? So even for at your day-to-day life also, you can use this principle, even though you are not a manager now. No, you should not do this. So in fact, I do not do, or I do not believe, or I do not make it, yes. So thanking is needed. It is a great thing if you do thanking after someone has done a good job successful or good job, even though there is a salary for that person. Even from the point of the employee, so normally, so assuming the salary is being paid, so you may think assume you are the employee, you may think that I am your manager. You may think that, you do think that salary is being paid by the organization, not by me. So therefore, you expect a kind of thank you, a kind of appreciation from me. Right. Then 19, the last item under this activity, if properly designed, many jobs can be self-reward. If properly designed, many jobs can be self-rewarding. Yes, of course. So under job designing, you have learned many things. So therefore, proper job designing definitely will make the employee motivated, especially by incorporating behavioral elements. Can you remember job enrichment, job rotation, job enlargement? By doing those things, by following those motivational techniques, it is possible to motivate people. If the relevant employee needs an expansion, additional duties, then you can expand. You can use the job, job enlargement. If the relevant employee needs the authority for planning and controlling, then you can use the job enrichment. Those things you have learned. So therefore, I'm not going to talk more. Right. All right. Any questions? Okay, now go to this one. Critical incident, this one. And try to understand. So this is about a research engineer, who worked for a major company. This was an actual incident, okay, observed by a famous author about motivation, namely Kurt Hans. So then I adopted really that critical incident for teaching purpose, yes. That he was outstanding, in his work. One of the most brilliant professionals. One of the most brilliant professional in his field. But he had a weakness. And his managers chose to emphasize it. What was his weakness? Sloppy dresser. Sloppy dresser. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔහේ අඳිනවා කිසි සැලකිල්ලක් නැහැ ඇඳුම් පැළඳුම් ගැන. ඔහේ ඇඳගෙන එනවා. සමහරලාට අයන් කරලා නැහැ පිරිසුදු නැහැ. Doesn't matter. So I mean doesn't matter, it matters really. It did matter in the organization to the superiors of this engineer, research engineer. That his department was an area of pride to many. When visitors came, they always took them through the research lab. It had made some vital contribution to science. And the lab was very interesting to tour from the point of visitors. Okay? But there, in the middle of the lab, was this sloppy engineer. So his working place was in the middle of the lab. Middle of the lab. So that means what? Almost every visitor, comes to notice this sloppy engineer. The managers grew increasingly embarrassed. They concentrated on the weaknesses and began to apply more and more pressure on the engineer to confirm. So what did they do then? Began to apply more and more pressure on the engineer to conform to their standard of neatness. There is some value called neatness or criteria, performance criteria about dressing. The details are not available, but maybe assume, maybe I don't know. There's a formal dress. We can assume that definitely there's a formal dress recommended by the organization to be worn by the employees, including this engineer, research engineer. But this research engineer did not follow, did not do that. Then the pressure, more and more pressure, came from the engineer's superiors or engineer's immediate superior, maybe even immediate superior. Soon, dress standards became an obsession, and management's harassment was annoying and distracting. The engineer resigned. What happens? Engineer resigned and join a competitor. And join a competing. Of course, a competitor. That highly values, this competitor, highly valued his expertise and potential. What is this? Expertise and potential. Highly valued. Potential means, further working, the ability to work, ability to contribute further in future. Possible contributions that this engineer can make. That potential and the expertise of the engineer were highly valued by this competing company, and as a result, this company, of course, hired this employee. The engineer's previous employers still paying for the mistake. What is this? Then ultimately what happened? Still paying for the mistake. Can you understand the meaning of this? Still paying for the mistake. Again, after the resignation, after this relevant employee, outstanding employee has resigned, the previous employer got a serious loss. Dysfunctional employee turnover. This is indeed a dysfunctional employee turnover, not a functional turnover, involving a great loss to the previous employee, but a great, gain from the point of the competing company. Then what can you learn from this incident? That is my question. Dear students, yes. What can you learn from this incident? Yes, what can you learn? Can you respond? At least you think. Of course, the company got a big loss. That was employing this excellent engineer. Why did he leave? Dressing standard, pressure because of dressing standards. The management harassment was annoying and distracting. Distracting means, this is a research engineer. So therefore, it is essential to have a mindfulness, concentration. Although, they are essential things for a research. So then distracting, taking the mind away because of unnecessary things from the point of the engineer. Can you think? Can you analyze? What can you learn from this incident? Of course, in general, how to motivate people, especially brilliant professionals. Brilliant professionals, they have different values. People are different, especially brilliant professionals, high performers. Normally, they think in a different way. That's why that's why they became high performers, brilliant professionals. They are usually different from superiors' values, beliefs, or even priorities. Priorities. This engineer gave the priority to work, that is research, innovations. Did not give the priority or did not give the consent about dressing, because this is a research engineer. So then understood that there is no relationship between dressing and performance. Do you agree with that? I am telling that there is no relationship between dressing and job performance. Do you agree with that? We will have to agree with that in certain situations. In certain situations, we should not agree. For example, in filming, in teledramas, dressing, there's a strong relationship between dressing and successful job performance. Understand? Then in a restaurant, also in a hotel. Sorry, yes, in a hotel, maybe even in a hospital. We can argue that there's a significant relationship between dressing and job performance. There are no research studies done, especially in Sri Lanka, about this relationship between dressing and job performance. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙහෙම හිතමු ටයි එකක් දාලා එන අපි පිරිමි කළමනාකරුවෝ ගැන හිතමු ටයි දාලා එන කළමනාකරුවෝ හයි පර්ෆෝමර්ස් ලා වෙනවා ටයි දාලා එන නැති කළමනාකරුවෝ හයි පර්ෆෝමර්ස් ලා වෙන්නේ I don't believe the managers with proper dress we can't say that they are going to be high performers because of dressing. The managers who don't follow or who have casual clothes, we can't say that they are not going to be high performers. Especially right now, as far as this critical incident is concerned, this is a research organization. This is a research engineer. It may be a manufacturing organization which has a department for research and development, or exclusively this may be an organization engaging in research. Okay, so then as far as a research engineer is concerned, it is most likely that there is no relationship between job performance and dressing. Can you understand? If you don't agree, you ask questions. Okay, this is what I can tell you. In case of a research engineer who is one of the most brilliant professionals in his field, there is no strong relationship or there's no any relationship between dressing and his job performance. All right. So therefore, the lesson that I can talk is this. These managers, emphasize strength, ignore weaknesses. Two important things, when it comes to management, especially HRM, particularly is motivation, doing motivation successfully. In order to motivate others at work, we have to emphasize. The empathize කියන එකත් අදාළ වෙනවා. Emphasize කියලා කියන්නේ stress කියන එක. අවධාරණය කරනවා. Emphasize the strength. Okay, let me type it. It takes time, but anyway. Emphasize strength. Ignore the weakness. Especially in case of brilliant professionals, ignore weaknesses. අනවශ්‍ය දේවල් ගැන හිතන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. මේ ඩ්‍රෙසින් එක අරවා මේවා මෙයා පීරලා එනවාද සුවඳ ගහනවාද මෙයා මේ හොඳට නීට් එකට එනවාද this is about researching. Especially serious people, they don't consider about these things. So ignore weaknesses. So in fact, what these people, the organization, the relevant managers, they really emphasized the weakness. Perhaps only one weakness. They did not emphasize the strength of this man. So ultimately, they had to, bear a serious cost and is still paying for the mistake. එතන ඔත ලියන වෙලාවේදී still paying for the mistake කියන්නේ තාමත් ඒ ඔත may incident එක ලියනකොට in the year, what is the year in 2004, can සැලකිය කාලයක්. So it is possible, for even many years, perhaps losing a very, very important person. The loss, the company will have to experience the loss owing to the resignation of a very, very important high performer for many years. For many years to come, even in the future. Okay, so then habit of placing emphasis on weakness, we should not do that. Of course, we have to develop a habit of placing emphasis on the strength of the employee. Then praise for that. Right? For another thing, a child may be great, assuming in mathematics, but weak in reading. So, where is all the emphasis normally placed by our teachers or by the parents? At reading. But the person is weak in reading. By forgetting, the strength, mathematics. Okay, so then what will happen to the child? He or she ends up feeling like a failure because of the reading, and he never has maybe the chance to grow in mathematics. So of course we have to give the chance to the child to grow in mathematics or in the field where the person has the strength. Normally everyone has weaknesses and strengths. Even some weaknesses are not really significant. Not really significant. This is a good example, this dressing. The engineer iron කරගෙන iron කරගෙන shirt එක ඇඳගෙන එනවාද කලිසම එනවාද හොඳට මැදගෙන සපත්තු වෙනවාද සෙරප්පු දාගෙනනවා, they really do not matter. Maybe if you want to draw the attention of the person to dressing, maybe by using a peer rather than yourself. Assume I want to change this person, in terms of dressing also. I am the superior of this person, but then I don't do this directly. Maybe indirectly, if there is a chance, then I will do. Otherwise, I will use a peer, another peer, to talk about dressing. But not really in the way that will hurt the person. Maybe as a job. Right. Any questions? Dear students, any questions? Okay, now shall we go to activity 6, which is about inferences, true, false, uncertain. What do you mean by inferences? They are the conclusions based on the given information. Based on the given information, you are supposed to make inferences. Whether something is true or something is false or something is uncertain. Inferences. Okay, try to do. Take the first one. The motivation is a process that has at least 4 steps. Yes, true, false, uncertain. Motivation is a process that has at least 4 steps. At least. Okay, go to this one. So indeed, motivation can be considered as a process. Don't worry. Any management function can be considered as a process. So you must have learned many times about a process, many processes you must have learned. A process is something which has a series of steps to be performed sequentially to achieve a certain defined objective. So therefore, motivation is indeed a process. Leadership can be perceived as a process. Any management function can be perceived as a process that you have learned. So, but the thing is, the statement gives, the motivation is a process that has at least 4 steps. Maybe 4, maybe 6, maybe 7. Look at this one. Unsatisfied need. Then objective. Assume, in simple example, thirsty, unsatisfied need. Then objective, to get a bottle of water. Then objective directed behavior. You buy a bottle of water, you go to a boutique and then buy a bottle of water and then drink. That is called objective directed behavior. An action or maybe several actions. Okay, going to the boutique is one action. Then buying is another action. Then drinking is another action. Or mainly we can say drinking the water. The objective is go to the boutique and buy it. Buy a bottle of water. For objective, we can use another word, motive, M-O-T-I-V-E, motive, in the context of motivation. Then need satisfaction. Need satisfaction. Then there will be another need that is not satisfied. Other than objective, so likewise. Okay, so then so after drinking water, after removing thirsty or the thirst, yes, thirsty. Okay, what is the noun? Thirsty or thirst? Thirst, yes, thirst. The noun is thirst, if my memory is correct, yes. So okay, don't worry. Hunger, another example, hunger. Then have the lunch. Then hunger gets vanished. There may be another need, sleeping. Then to sleep, the objective. On a right bed. Are then engage in that sleeping. Then need satisfaction. Okay, all right. Then this is true. At least 4 steps. Or another, can say need is there, need, then motive, then behavior, then what? The result or the satisfaction. Satisfaction, no, dissatisfaction. Simple. Right. Then go to this one. Motivation is one of the major factors in the job performance formula. Motivation is one of the major factors in the job performance formula. Is it true? Okay, this one is true, yes. This one is true. Then the answer. Is this one true or uncertain or false? Use your understanding. So far, you have acquired on motivation, which is one of the most important topics under management, then under HRM, one of the most important objectives. Some experts in HRM consider motivation as a function. Some experts in HRM consider motivation as an objective, a serious objective. So anyway, it doesn't matter. What matters here is motivation is there, that you have to consider, you have to be serious. Is one of the major factors in the job performance formula. What is performance formula? Simple, employee performance. Remember, it's a function of what? Okay, for formula, right? Function of ability, motivation, and E. What does E stand for? What does E stand for? E stands for environment. 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 Yes, environment. Under environment, you can include several other things like resources, opportunity. Resources, opportunity, opportunity, etc. Okay, then you have to believe in this performance formula. Therefore, one motivation is one of the major factors. Here you can see one of the major factors, not the major factor, one of the major factors. So therefore, really, if you want to motivate, then you have to make sure that these three things are existing, are present. Therefore, if you are intelligent, you can take any practical actual problem, and then by using this one, you can analyze. Therefore, never forget this formula. If the problem is motivation, give motivation. Use motivational techniques, at least one, like job enrichment, maybe job enlargement, maybe goal setting, anything. Okay, so then if we have observed that performance is going down, then using this, you can see it may be owing to ability. If ability is there, then it should be, or it may be owing to motivation. If motivation, ability both are there, then it should be, the problem should be with regard to environment, lack of resources, maybe lack of opportunity, or other things, other disturbances, maybe internal politics or external politics. Right. Okay, now third one. Dear students, you can ask questions, but this chat thing, I got 60 responses. So my problem is now I have no time to. Okay, anyway, maybe at the end I will. If there's a serious problem, then you can unmute and then disturb me, no problem. Most of the Sri Lankan workers get motivated by primarily extrinsic factors. True, false, uncertain. Most of the Sri Lankan workers get motivated by primarily extrinsic factors. So what are the extrinsic factors? Use your knowledge about Herzberg two-factor theory. Hygienes, can you remember? Hygienes or hygiene factors. Hygienes and hygienes, yes. HYGIENENES, right. C high HYGIEN GIENES. Anyway, it's okay. This okay, hygiene, right? Yes, we can use. Normally, okay, the computer indicates that that's wrong, but it is right. This is right. Okay, hygienes. They are in fact hygiene factors. They are in fact hygiene factors. How many times you hygiene spelling is difficult. Hygiene factors, right? And then the what you call motivators. They are motivators. Extrinsic factors are hygiene factors. Then the intrinsic factors. There's another one called intrinsic. Intrinsic factors. They are motivators. Okay, so achievement, recognition, challenge, advancement, the work itself, they are popular factors, according to that Herzberg two-factor theory. Okay, then now tell me, most of the Sri Lankan workers get motivated by primarily extrinsic factors. The answer is yes. Extrinsic. That means hygiene factors. So according to my observations, right? We do to give an exact answer, we should have resource of research studies. Resource of research studies. I can remember one research study done by one of our academics, who is not now living in Sri Lanka, who went to Canada. So according to his MBA study, I can remember most of the Sri Lankan managers, really, not the workers, managers. Most of the Sri Lankan managers, get motivated by primarily extrinsic factors, especially pay. Pay. So according to salary, a salary is not a motivator. It is not an intrinsic factor. Intrinsic, it is highly related to the job or within the job, not external to the job. Okay, then so what are intrinsic factors like pay, job security, working conditions, fringe benefits, the relationship with peers, relationship with superiors, relationship with subordinates. Those interpersonal relationship also come under extrinsic factors according to especially this theory, Herzberg two-factor theory. So most of the Sri Lankan workers, then the managers get motivated by primarily pay. So therefore, then this is true. Then the workers here are not the managers. Usually we use the term worker for a non-manager. Then based on my observation, limited observation, I can say yes, this is true. Primarily extrinsic factors. Page is a serious motivator in Sri Lanka. It is an extrinsic factor. Okay, so why? Can you remember why? Maybe most of the people are at poor level. They are not rich. Therefore, badly they need pay, which is a high one. They expect, most of the, workers who are poor, they expect a higher salary, higher wage. Right. Then letting subordinates, fourth one, letting subordinates set their own objectives is not a right thing to do, motivating others at work. True or false? letting subordinates set their own objectives is not the right thing to do motivating others at work. To give a good answer for this, you have to recall your knowledge about goal setting theory. That's a famous theory called goal setting theory. Can you remember? Goal setting theory. Here, okay, this is statement also relating to that goal setting theory. In fact, goal setting theory was rated number 1 in importance among 73 management theories. So according to one study, really. So I did not mention that. Right. This is true, yes. Sorry. Letting subordinates set their own objectives is not a right thing to do motivating. This is false. Not false, false or wrong. Then in fact, goal setting theory was rated number 1 in importance among 73 management theories. Right. Or true. This is true. So according to a research done by, right, goal setting theory, that was developed by a professor called what? Developed by, can you remember? Developed by Professor E.A. Locke. 2000, I can't remember exactly. Let's see. Okay. In 2000, yes. 2001, 2, 3, 4. Right. Okay. Right. So then, according to his research studies, this is true real. It was found that what? Goal setting theory was rated by the all the managers under the study as number 1, the most important theory out of 73 management theories. 73 management theories. Then my question is, do you have a sufficient understanding of goal setting theory? Goal setting theory. And indeed, can you use it then in practice? Okay, so then the implication, my advice is, please recall your memory, goal setting theory. And if you can't remember, or if you don't have sufficient understanding about theory, please get that understanding. Goal setting theory was rated number 1 in importance among 73 management theories. 73. Okay, so then goal setting theory. Okay, let me give a briefing about that goal setting theory. This is from my book, Organizational Behavior. Organizational Behavior, the Human Side of Work, published in 2015. I don't know whether you have used that book. Anyway, goal setting theory. So this is then perhaps the most important theory in management. Never forget. Motivation through goal setting. That means we can motivate people by setting goals. By setting goals. So when a person has goals, he can usually motivate himself. Okay, it's a prominent theory. So these are the advantages of having goals. I think several times you must have learned. Okay. Right. Then go to this one. Requirements of motivation by goal setting. Goal clarity is a requirement. Then goal difficulty is a requirement. Then goal acceptance is a requirement. Then goal feedback is a requirement for goal setting. So there are 4 requirements to be met under this theory. Simply setting goals is not sufficient. We have to set goals so that there are these 4 things. So what is goal clarity? In simple, that's the degree to which the goal established is clear and specific. Smart concept, several times you must have learned. Smart. To what extent the goal is clear and specific. Then what is goal difficulty? That's the extent to which the goal is difficult to achieve. Remember, the goal, should not be too difficult to achieve. Also, the goal should not be too easy to achieve. Moderately, it should be difficult. Then goal acceptance. Here, does the relevant employee accept the goal? Therefore, it's the extent to which the goal is accepted by the relevant employee. If there are several goals, that's the extent to which goals are accepted by the employee who is supposed to attain them. Then goal feedback, of course, that's the extent to which we give the information about progress, the achieving, to what extent the goals have been achieved, the information about that. Okay, all right, then goal setting. Then, of course, if these are there, then we can expect high job performance. High job performance. Okay, any questions? Right. Now, වතුර එකක් එහෙම බොණ්ඩ ඉතින් ළඟ තියාගෙන ඉන්න. ඉක්මනට මම 8 වෙනකොට ඉවර කරන්න. මොනවා විනාඩි 5ක් බ්‍රේක් එකක් ගමු. 5 minutes break. එහෙම නැත්නම් කෙලින්ම මම යන්න තව ටික වෙලාවක්. සංඝ ගොඩක් ළමයි ඉන්නව දැන් නේද? සංඝ ඉන්නවද? දිලිනි?
සර් කැමති කවුලක් නෑ.
එහෙනම් අපි යමු නේද? ටිකක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ළඟ වතුර තියාගෙන ඉන්න වතුර. ගෙදර අම්මට හරි තාත්තා ගෙදර ඉන්නවනම් කියන්න ගෙනල්ලා දෙන්න කියලා. Right.
හරි සර්.
Okay, then let us go to this one. Have a serious look at this. Did I do this one earlier? Previously, did I do this one? Or did you experience this type of thing? Right, silence means that you have not experienced. Okay, have a serious look at this. Okay, now we can ask, a question like, what did you notice? And then can you describe, by giving an empty paper we can ask, if I am the, assume I want to now, I am supposed to motivate you. Then, that means under me there is a set, there's a group of subordinates whom I want to motivate. And then in order to motivate, I am supposed to identify their needs, their expectations, their needs and their expectations. Because you know that it is a principle that if we meet, employee needs, then the employee can become motivated. So therefore, it is a well-known fact that we can motivate people by meeting their needs, by meeting their needs. So remember, we can motivate. Mainly there are 5 ways of motivating people. Okay, one is right by meeting their goals. Sorry, by meeting, motivating by meeting needs, wants, expectations. That is one way. Another way, motivating by setting goals. Another way, motivating by being fair, especially using equity theory, justice theory. Then fourth way of motivating by altering expectations. Can you remember expectancy theory by Victor Room? Then for fifth way of motivating by structuring jobs to make them interesting, especially by using job characteristic model. Can you remember? By Heckman and Allhan, job characteristic model. Okay, so therefore, never forget that, right? Then, so now I am supposed to understand their needs, dominant needs, especially dominant needs at a particular time, right? Then by using this figure, this is a famous test that can be used, to identify dominant motivational needs of the employees. Dominant motivational needs of the employees. Simply what you have to do is, you have to describe. Then by using, I have to analyze your descriptions. And then I have to decide your dominant needs. So I can do that. Right. So then, normally, right, anyway, now, because of the limited time, so one may describe like this. There are 2 people. So even according to my experience, some students told that, there are 3 people. But in fact, there are no 3 people. This is a picture of a person. This is a picture of a person. So there are 2 people in line in this picture. So then this, if you describe in this way, if you assume, you describe in this way, there is an old person, there is a young person, and there is an old person. An old person is giving an instruction to the young person. Then the young person seems that he is not listening to, or he is not caring. He is not caring. So in that way, if you describe, then according to this test, your most dominant need is what? Power. Your dominant need is for the power. Power. There is a well-known theory called the manifest theory. Can you remember? I will learn about the manifest theory. Alternatively, Alderfer's ERG theory. Alderfer's ERG theory. Can you remember? So in order to save time, I am not going to write because it is taking time. So Alderfer's ERG theory. E stands for what? E stands for existence needs. R stands for No. It's not the EGR theory. Sorry. I was mistaken. Right. The relevant theory is McClellan's theory of needs. McClellan. McClelland. McClellan theory. That is yes, achievement theory. You know, famous title for that theory is the achievement theory. So, according to which there are three dominant needs: need for achievement, need for power, and need for affiliation. Right. So then, if you talk about instructing power, giving command, and this is the superior, this is the subordinate, and then your most dominant need is identified as need for power. But instead, assume another person describes in this way: this is the father, this is the son. There is a conversation between the father and the son. Father is criticizing something, or maybe telling something, may not be criticizing, right? So then if if the other person, if another person describes in that way, that is the dominant need from that description, which we can identify is need for affiliation. Need for affiliation. Hardly I found, the third type of description. So most of the students, indicated, especially from MBA students, advanced students, need for power and need for affiliation. When I questions, most of the students agreed, really. They told yes, the dominant need was yes, for affiliation or for the power. But only one or two students, if my memory is correct, described in a completely different way. What is that? Right. If you describe in this way, this is a serious man who was very serious and thinking of a plan, looking through the window, and then this elder person came and then asking for something. This person is putting, this person, young man, is putting his two hands into the pockets of the trouser, showing that he was very serious, thinking of a serious plan about performance, productivity improvement, and looking at his face. Look at his face. Then seriously turned out, and then engaging in listening, really engaging in listening. Then the posture of the body language indicates that yes, this person is a high performer, a serious performer, even though being young. We can't say exactly. Okay, right. So that type of statement, indicates the dominant need for achievement. Dominant need for achievement, right? Uh, okay, so look at this one then. So relating to that picture, so normally opportunity for control and power, opportunity for excellence, opportunity for friendship and affiliation. So you must have learned that according to McClellan's theory of needs, any organization gives these three parts: opportunity for control and power. There are some people, personally I have observed, they need power, but there are some people, predominantly they need excellence. They want to be high performers, they want to be productive, they want to create new things, they want to excel in their jobs. There are some people, they don't want to excel, they don't want to get power, they want to enjoy by associating with people. That's why they go to organizations to do. to do jobs. Okay. So therefore, why I use this one, recalling your memory about that well-known theory. Useful. Then of course, if the dominant, you know what to do there. If there is a manager who is serious about excellence, then what to do you should know. I think you know that. Normally giving challenges, responsibilities, moderately difficult goals, regular feedback, praise, these are the things. Right performance evaluation and with right feedback. Then for this, you know, giving tasks which require the employee to interact with others frequently, providing social opportunities such as clubs, trips, teams, all these, right? Anyway, I hope that you know, just reminding, right? Look at this one. Motivation is determined by comparison with others. This is about justice theory. Let us check your intelligence. Let me check your knowledge, motivation, intelligence. In addition, okay, normal intelligence to the motivation, intelligence. One may say, okay, here motivation is determined by comparison with others. So that means people compare. You compare what you get with what others get. That is an inevitable thing, normal. So frequently people do that. Most of the people do that. Almost all the people do that. This comparison. Therefore, if comparisons, from comparisons, if they understand that there is injustice, then that will happen to demotivate. The motivation will get problematic. Right. Then what is this? Can you understand what is this? You may say, right, this person, this person doesn't leave working more, but this person leaves early at an earlier time, or at 5 o'clock this person leaves. But at 5 o'clock, this, instead of leaving, this person is working. You can say this is the boss, and then this is the secretary. Then secretary is supposed to work after 5. The boss can leave on 5. Then secretary is thinking, how unfair. Boss has a privilege. Then maybe secretary's salary is low. Then this person's salary is high. Problematic. Maybe, if the secretary understands in this way, boss is a very busy person. Really, boss has to leave early. No problem. I have to work, until 5:30. Maybe I am being paid with overtime. Then no problem. Then no problem. Right. Another situation. Why, this is a departmental manager. This is also departmental manager. Both are peers. I mean, this person is a peer to this one. This person is a peer to this one. Then what will happen? Then more likely, this person sees the situation as unfair. As unfair. Because personal, giving, in more inputs. So likewise, please try to understand. Right. So then by changing, right. So normally if there are comparisons, what to do? If there are comparisons, what to do? Go to this one. We'll go to this vignette. Not this one. This one. Ranga and Suranga are two accountants working in ABC company. Okay, we can think of that. Two accountants possible. Both are professionals, male and a female. With same qualification, with the same qualifications, years of working experience and hours of working, same. Also, both persons' job performances are similar, and both work hard. Ranga's monthly pay is 78,000 rupees, but Suranga's monthly pay is 88,000 rupees. Ranga feels angry now in that he is paid less than an equally qualified person. Equally qualified person who does the same work. So Ranga or Rangani or Suranga or Surangani is okay. Ranga feels angry knowing that he is paid less than an equally qualified person who does the same work. Suranga feels guilty knowing that he is paid more than an equally qualified person who does the same work. So normally you see guilty also, feeling guilty possible. Then feeling angry also possible. Normally we can say, right, the person who gets, who is being paid with a higher salary, normally we can say that person is very happy. That person is very happy, but it may not happen. You see, here it doesn't happen. The person who gets 88,000 feels guilty. The person who gets a lower salary feels angry. You see, then both people are in problematic situation. Both people, have problems. Normally we assume, we think that this person has a problem. This person doesn't have, because his monthly salary is 88,000. But remember, it is possible that this person also can have a problem. You see different situations. Then සමහර කෙනෙක් වැඩි පඩියක් ලබනකොට අනිත් එක්කෙනාට වඩා same qualification, years of work experience, full happy එකේ ජොලි ඉන්නවා අනිත් එක්කෙනාට සරදම් කරගෙන. එහෙම ඉන්න පුළුවන්. There are some people like that. But there can be some people who feel guilty because they are being paid more than they deserve. Especially good people who are moral, who are ethical. Now my solution is, right, question is there an equitable payment? There is no equitable payment. Because of what? Use this one. Because of what? Because Ranga's ratio, let us say, not in this way, but anyway, go to the, concentrate on this one. Formulas. Ranga's ratio of his outcomes inputs is lower than Suranga's. Because of that, there is no equitable treatment or equitable payment. You see, when one employee's outcomes inputs ratio is equivalent to another person's outcomes input ratio under comparison, a state, what we call is state of, can you remember, state of equitable payment. Equitable payment is there, then no problem. But here, underpayment is there, underpayment is there, overpayment is there. So underpayment occurs what? When one person's outcomes inputs ratio is less than another person's outcomes inputs ratio under comparison. Then overpayment occurs when one person's outcomes inputs ratio is, or simply, one person's ratio is higher than the other person's ratio under comparison. Now, how to solve? How to solve? My question here, is it possible for employees to change inequitable states to equitable states? Yes, it is possible. Then how? How? Normally, there are two ways, behavioral way, then psychological way. Then සමහර them තාම මේ behavioral psychological තේරෙන්නේ නැතුව. Then behavioral way කියලා කියන්නේ by changing what the person does. Actions. Then psychological ways කියලා කියන්නේ thoughts. Don't forget that. If you are not sure. Okay, so then maybe Suranga, maybe Suranga can tell that, maybe Suranga can do an additional work in order to avoid this feeling guilty, can contribute more. That is possible. Or Suranga, no, this way, because in terms of qualifications, years of working experience, hours of working, same. Yes. So what are the ways? Okay, forget about Suranga and Ranga. If there is underpayment, what are the behavioral ways? Simply, in general, people who are underpaid may either increase their outcomes or decrease their inputs. Increasing outcomes or decreasing inputs. Underpaid. ඒකන මට අඩුවෙන් පඩි ගෙවනවා නම් මම වැඩ කරන ප්‍රමාණය පැය ගන්න අඩු කරනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් අඩුවෙන් වැඩ කරනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් හොරකම් කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. That is also possible. Stealing. Or even making a complaint to increase. The overpaid in specific, the overpaid increase the inputs, also increase the outputs. Possible, especially, wedding වැඩ කරනවා. එතකොට හරනේ overpayment එකට set වෙනවා. So likewise, I think the students, are you all right? Right, now let me finish let me do another thing. I have several things, but okay, look at this one. Job qualities. What do workers want from their jobs? Ranking from 1 to 10. So if you use only 10 factors, 10 job qualities: job security, full appreciation for work done, promotion and growth within the company, tactful discipline, discipline, good wages, feeling. So likewise, think of that. What do you workers want from their jobs? So assume there are 10 job qualities. Then if we ask, them to rank, the most important one, give 10. The next most important one, give 9. The next one, give 8. So likewise. Then to the least important one, give 1 point, only 1 point. Right. Okay, then draw your attention to this figure. This one. Based on an actual study. What can you understand? This one. As ranked by workers, supervisors. Have a look. Supervisors, you know, supervisors think that, or supervisors perceive that. Now I am giving an interpretation. Supervisors think that the most important motivating factor for their workers is good wages. Good wages. Then the second most important factor, job security. And third most important factor, promotion and growth within the company. Then the least most important factor. Okay, now this is yes, but the way of not really giving. Okay, you can for the most important one you can give 10 points. The next one 9 points. Also perhaps the එහෙම ඒ කියන්නේ වැඩියෙන් ලකුණු දීලා එහෙම හොයාගන්න ක්‍රමයකුත් තියෙනවා රෑන්කින් එක. ඊට පස්සේ අඩුවෙන් ඒ කියන්නේ most important එකට 1 දීලා ඊළඟ එකට 2 දීලා ඊළඟ එකට 3 දීලා එහෙමත් හොයාගන්න ක්‍රමයක්. ඒ lazy, easier way is that. එහෙමත් තියෙනවා. කොයි ක්‍රමයෙන් හරි කමන්නේ. So anyway, assume this is the results. Not assume. This is indeed from that actual study. This is the result. Now the workers like that, you look at, according to workers, the most important one is full appreciation for work done. This is in USA. The Sri Lankan situation may be different. So the workers, they badly need, the most important thing for workers to get motivated is full appreciation for work done. So we can assume that they are happy with salaries and all these things, working conditions. So can you understand the most important one from the point of workers? The next one, feelings in on things. Feelings in on things. Number 2. Third one, sympathetic understanding of personal problems, you see. But according to supervisors, the rank is 9th. That means in terms of importance, this is at very low level. The lowest one is this one, feeling in non-things. Now what one lesson you can take what? One lesson from this. Supervisors and workers, do not think in the same way, do not perceive in the same way about motivational factors, motivational needs. They can, perceive in 2 different ways. That is one thing. Another thing, when we want to motivate workers, we should not follow the perception of supervisors. We should understand, ranking from workers themselves. So if you want to motivate workers, we should know about their motivators, their needs from them, not from supervisors. Assume from the point of HR department. HR department, should survey workers in order to get needs of workers, not really perception of supervisors. So according to this, it is dangerous. You will not, get the truth, the real workers' needs through supervisors. තේරෙනවද? ඒ නිසා තව කවුරු හරි අහලා supervisors ලගෙන් අහලා workers ලගේ needs දැනගන්න ගියොත් that may be wrong. So according to this, that is wrong indeed. So if you believe in this research study, that is wrong. ඒ නිසා supervisors ලා හිතන විදිය හරි workers ලා පිළිබඳ නිවැරදි නෑ. The way supervisors think about workers, it is not right. And that's a good lesson from the HR department. You know, if the HR department wants to develop motivational programs, the HR department does survey the relevant people, not others. Directly, the needs identification has to be done. Right. Okay, then the last one, I want to tell, then I will finish. මොකද ගොඩක් අය මේක සමහරවිට දන්නේ නැහැ. Though the Maslow's needs hierarchy theory, many times you must have learned, but doing this exercise, I believe, will give new insights to you. Following statements are relevant to Maslow's needs hierarchy theory. Each statement through or untrue, present your explanation. Up to F, from A to F, you have to find out whether the statement is true or untrue. First one, Maslow classifies human needs into 5 sets. If you don't know the answer for this, you should not be in this class. You should not be in this class. Okay, so then the answer is definitely true. True, yes. Then B, the 5 needs are arranged in a hierarchy beginning with physiological needs and ending with self-actualization need. Yes, the answer is true. This one also true. Then the strongest need at the moment will be predominant until it is gratified. Then the next need in the hierarchy will arise and demand satisfaction. Indeed true. A gratified need is not a motivator. Yes, indeed true. Self-actualization is a need that can never be completely satisfied. Yes, self-actualization is a need that can never be completely satisfied. True or false? True or false? Self-actualization, to become all that one is capable of becoming. Realize potential, or provide, those things, advancement, growth, and achievement. Yes, I think this is also true. Can never be completely satisfied, according to the theory. Right? If when one need is gratified, another need in the hierarchy becomes predominant. No longer the other one, then other one becomes not predominant. Then it does not mean that, it does not mean that the previous need on the hierarchy has been 100% satisfied. I think some students don't know. This is also true. So remember that it doesn't mean that the previous need on the hierarchy has been 100% satisfied. So that means most of the needs, cannot be satisfied to the level of 100%. To the 100% level, fully, it's very difficult to satisfy. That you have to understand. So if you keep on satisfying one particular category, again, then that is not a good idea. That is a wrong idea, wrong strategy. Okay, then assume that Mr. B is a newly appointed HR manager in ABC company who wants to gain the respect of other divisional heads. and establish a good reputation. You see, good reputation. Then his need profile at the moment, according to the Maslow's theory, need profile, profile. That is the thing which consists of all the five needs to a certain extent, maybe a lower extent, maybe a higher extent, maybe to a moderate extent, right? Then at the moment is something like this. His need profile at the moment is something like this. What is he? Who is he? B is a newly appointed HR manager and ABC company. Okay, then physiological needs 90% satisfied. Safety need, safety need 75% satisfied. Social needs 70% satisfied. Esteem needs 40% satisfied. And self-actualization needs 10% satisfied. What is the likely predominant need? What is the likely predominant need? Or deficiency, the gap. Not satisfied need. Non-satisfied need. At the moment for Mr. B. What is that? The answer is esteem. Esteem need. Okay, esteem needs. Right, now let me show. Normally, the Maslow's, you can remember the figure relating to the Maslow's theory. You are familiar with this type of figure, or you are not familiar with this type of figure. Let me show this one. Checking your knowledge. Here, need is strength. Okay, physiological, safety, social, esteem, self-actualization. Remember, is this true or is this common? Is this hierarchy common according to the theory? No, it's not common. It's not common, Maybe this is a new insight. It's not common. It is only relevant to, that depends, okay. The hierarchy depends on the needs mix. There is something called needs mix. Needs mix. What is that? Okay, read this one. Need mix when physiological and safety needs have the highest strength. If they have highest strength, then the shape of the hierarchy is like this. Otherwise, it is not. Therefore, this is not, this figure doesn't represent all the employees. This figure represents, or this figure is relevant only for employees, who have, yes, whose physiological and safety needs have the highest strength. Okay, go to this one now. This figure. Is this right? Of course, this is right. This is right. But I think most of you have never experienced this type of, never exposed to this type of figure, according to that's perhaps the most important theory, because all other theories of motivation, were developed based on this. All the relevant developers, definitely they must have learned this, the first theory, Abraham Maslow's needs hierarchy. Some people criticize this, but I am not going to criticize, because to that extent, this is very useful. I don't want you to use the critical approach. No need. what is, what are the strengths of the theory that we have to learn. Yes, need mix when social needs have the highest strength. There may be employees, you know, according to them, the most important dominant need is social. It is possible, realistic. It's realistic, especially very rich people. They feel they want to love, they want to be loved. Then they come to work and then they want to enjoy with people. Then they need, team working. They need social interactions. They need other things, which will, make them to be gregarious, to be really socially happy. So therefore, if I ask this question, is this right? According to theory, of course, this is right. And then to whom? To the people, who have social needs or whose social needs have the highest strength. Yeah, remember this is need strength, okay? Right, now go to this one. Is this right? This is also right. This is also right. This is relevant to people, whose esteem and self-actualization needs have the highest strength. Can you understand? Any questions? Can you understand? This is, is this true according to theory? Of course, yes. These people, they have fully, they have, significantly satisfied, not fully, yeah. It is impossible to be being fully satisfied. That is one fact that you should not forget. However, to a great extent, it is possible to be satisfied. Then, as far as this figure is concerned, these relevant people, relevant employees, the relevant employees to which this figure is applicable, they have significant, to a great extent, they have satisfied with physiological needs, safety needs, also, to a moderate level, social needs. But to a low wage level and to a very low level, they have satisfied with esteem and self-actualization. Therefore, seriously, they are needed now. So their needs are self-actualization, then esteem. Okay. So therefore, this figure also is right there. This figure also right. Normally we tend to have self-actualization here. That is also right. But it is right only for this. This situation. So if you use that type of shape, then the normal figure that you have learned, that that normally you tend to produce. Okay, so therefore, physiological safety, social esteem, self-actualization. Right. Okay, then I think this is enough. The students, any questions? Even though I have some other things, but don't worry. This is a useful figure, for writing objectives. Then summarize, there are some people who don't have the ability of writing objectives. Because I told you, out of 73 management theories, the most important theory is goal setting theory, according to Professor Locke. So therefore, this is one way of writing, objectives. 2, action verb, specific, measurable, and singular behavior plus target D. Example objectives for a student, for you, to receive a B as final grade, or A minus as my final grade in human relations, this subject, in December, May 2020, or maybe April, or I don't know, maybe May, yes, 2021. Then to increase my cumulative grade point average to 3.0 by May, or 3.3 or 3.7 in case of first class. Then example objectives for a manager. Then example objectives for an organization. Toyota, to sell 10.4 million vehicles worldwide by year. They may be actual, objectives for the relevant years. Okay, then dear students, I think this is enough now. Oh, 8:12, the time is. Any questions? Your assignment, I will upload your assignment. Right now, let me stop. Okay, then please take care. Good night.